good morning. You may recognise where we've come today for our walk. Well, I seem to have gained two friends. Well, I hope that sign doesn't mean what it seems to mean. I hate to say it, but it does mean what it says. Oh dear. That's not looking good. Right, bit of resourcefulness then. Well, there might be no bridge, but fortunately the supports either side are still pretty solid. Well, I mean, I could have backtracked, but to be truthful, I don't know where I can find an alternative route. So, but if you're watching this video, don't follow this part. Oh dear, style doesn't look so good either. Well, not only was there a bridge down and a stile not in the best condition, but I've had to walk across two really lumpy fields which were quite hard on the ankle, and a bit of overgrown woodlands. So this footpath has not been the best, but hey, all adds to the adventure. But if you're going to follow me, you better find a different route to this one. Add to that a flooded stile. That's an obstacle course. Oh dear. Something tells me this is a route that's not often walked. Well, it's goodbye rough bit. Now for some smoother ground. I leaned on the gate and it came open. So we reach the next village, which is Manston. The toll house, a sweet little cottage. So I was interested to come here because I don't know that I've ever walked through Manston before, so I was intrigued to see what it was like. I do know it's got a 13th century church. I can't remember if I passed that or not. Now the other thing I know about Manston is that it was the site of the first legal cremation. Interesting fact. So that took place at Manston House in 1883 apparently. Who knew that? Well, I found the church, which is kind of remote actually. It's a bit remote from the village. Interesting. What that is. Rather nice. I assume we're probably in the grounds of Manston House, but I don't know. Don't see a house at the moment. Anyway, I do see a church. So we'll have a very quick squiz inside if we can get in. But yes, it's 13th century, the nave's 14th century, the tower's 15th century. So it is another of those multi-era churches. I don't know. Let's see if we can get in. I'm not sure where the main entrance is. Let's have a look. And here maybe. Well, there you go. That was the church at Manston. Ah, that looks like it might be the manor house, is it? Through there. It's a big old house. So I'm guessing that's Manston House then, which is where the first legal cremation took place. Very quick look, as we've still got more walking to do and more things to see. So there's the manor house up there, and next door to the church. So, as is normal, I think, in these cases, the church is not actually in the village. It's nearer to the manor house, and a lot of churches were built that way. Probably built by the lord of the manor next to his house, so they didn't have to go too far, I guess. And this, I presume, is the parklands that go with the house. And so we come across River Stour again, and over in the distance the hill is Hammoon Hill. Which is an ancient hill fort, of course. Wow, methinks that might be a rookery. Anyway, we're just approaching our next hamlet. A short distance away from Manston is a little hamlet called Hammoon. It's a fascinating kind of a place. And it's got a tiny little church, I believe, that was once only 12 foot wide. And just as I was wondering where the church was, I spotted it. I'm interested to have a look around this one. This is St. Paul's, dating from the 12th, 13th century. It's a good old door. Quite an unusual design, I have to say. It's kind of offset. And obviously been enlarged over the centuries because, as I say, it was originally only 12 foot wide. What a lovely little church. Well, that is fascinating why they've got that offset. That's very unusual. And I love the old door, look at that. Quite an unusual font as well. Part of the 13th century floor found in situ. Yeah, interesting church. Let's look up to see if there's anything to say why this is offset. Because normally you'd go straight through to the altar, but this is off to the left. Oh well, I've not seen anything about that. I must have a look at that. See what I can find out. Oh, that's a really heavy door, this is. I've got muscles to get in this church. Right, so that's the little church at Hammoon. And a lovely little hamlet, I have to say. Some nice old stone buildings. So we are on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Stock Railway bed again, track bed. That's what this was. We came across it earlier with the dismantled bridge across the River Stour. Well, this is the other side of Sturminster Newton. And back in the day, you'd have had class 9 locos thundering along here. So yes, it's Somerset and Dorset, also known as S&D, and there is a love for this track amongst railway enthusiasts. I don't think it applied really when the track was live and working, because S&D was also known as slow and dirty. So and it was a route that failed and was axed, of course, along with many others. But there is a move by a group to try to turn as much of it as possible into a footpath or cycle track, and their idea, I think, is to try to do the whole length, and it ran from Bournemouth right the way through to Bath. So that's going to be a tall order. I don't know if they'll ever achieve it. I don't know how they would get round the dismantled bridges, because they would be expensive to replace, even with a footbridge. And yeah, various bits of it, and some's been sold off. Various bits of it would be unusable. Anyway, that's the plan. Be awesome if they achieve it. Chunks of it are walkable anyway. That's the S&D Trailway, which is what this is. And yeah, nice path, easy walking. And this will lead us to Fiddleford, which is our next hamlet, before we head across the meadows back to Sturminster Newton again. And so we've arrived at Fiddleford. So Fiddleford is just a little hamlet, but an interesting hamlet. It's got lots of stuff here. It is a settlement, obviously, and it gets its name apparently from an English nobleman who was named Fitella, and that combined with river crossing gives it the name Fiddleford. But it's a number of things here. There's a manor house, there's a mill, there's a pub. So, and it's a lovely little spot, and of course it's on the River Stour, of course, otherwise it wouldn't have a mill. And yeah, lovely place and worth exploring. I was hoping to go in Fiddleford Manor because it is free entry, and I was intending to film the inside, but I believe it closes at 4 o'clock, and it is gone 4 o'clock now, so I suspect I'm going to be too late. But I may just go and have a look and see. Needs a little detour, I think, for that. Or unless I can get across. No, let's go this way. We'll just see. So it's English heritage. And it does have a spectacular timber roof inside. Amazing place. Oh, yes, 31st of March, 4 p.m. So we probably can't get in it. That's a shame. We'll go down anyway since I'm here. So this is Fiddleford Manor, completed in 1370, although it's been changed a number of times since then, enlarged, made smaller and so on. It's thought that it was built for William Latimer, who was Sheriff of Somerset and Dorset, although there's some vague things about its history that seem to be unknown. But there was a previous manor somewhere near here, which predates this one, because I think Latimer inherited it because he married the daughter of the then owner of the estate. but it does have a spectacular timber roof inside. I'll go and have a look, see if the door's open. I don't think it will be. Oh, wait. No, the door is closed. In fact, half of the manor is in the hands of the English heritage. The other half is actually let, and somebody lives in it. But this is its position, right on the banks of the River Stour. So at least we get to see the outside of the manor, Fiddleford Manor, even if we were too late to go inside. I'll have to come back another time and re-film. Don't know if I can get a look through the window. Probably a bit dark in there, isn't it? Oh, friendly animals around here. Hello, come on in. Come on. So next door to the manor is Fiddleford Mill, which is this building here. Unfortunately, that one is not open, but yeah, it's thought to date from the 18th century, although again it's one of those places where there's been a mill on this site for probably 1,000 years. In fact, the original, it's thought, may have been on the site where the manor house now is, but again, it's not certain. But this was an operating mill for many years, and it's got a couple of interesting stones beside the door, and they're getting harder and harder to read, but it's writing, which I might be able to read what that says. Right, this is what it says, or this is what I read years ago. This was: He that will have here anything done, let him come friendly, he shall be welcome, a friend to the owner and enemy to no man. Pass all here freely to corn when they can, come when they can. For the tale of the truth I do always profess, Miller, be true, disgrace not thy vest. If falsehood appear, the fault shall be thine, and at sharp punishment think me not unkind. Therefore to be true, yet shall the behove, to please God chiefly, that liveth above. So that is what that says on these two stones, but I think we'll have trouble reading it now, to be truthful. So that's the mill. I believe next door is the granary, I think that's what it's known as, I'm not sure. And obviously the manor house. It's just a lovely cluster of buildings, I think. It's just a shame that the door is never open. It's overgrown with brambles and you can't really see inside. There is a hole there. I don't know if I can get the camera up to it. Let's have a go. Best I can do, I'm afraid. So that's the mill. We're now going to walk across the causeway to reach the meadows. And just the other side of the causeway is Fiddleford Manor. And the sun is going down. Right, now we're going to head across the meadows back to Sturminster Newton. The stone, incidentally, that I was reading from which was to the right of Fiddleford mill door, actually dates from 1566, so it actually predates the current mill building. So I guess it must have been part of the an earlier building maybe, which they've reused. But that's pretty old stone, and one of the difficulties with reading it is because it's in Old English, which is not easy to read. And the other thing with Fiddleford Mill is part of its checkered history, I guess, is the fact that it was once used to store contraband, which is interesting. Connection maybe with my previous walk, which was partly in the footsteps of Isaac Gulliver, the famous smuggler. So the last bit of our walk, we are beside the Stour again. I've lost the sun again. Rather nice light though, I have to say. Nice soft evening light with a little bit of mist, which is actually quite photogenic. Job is friendly. Now we've arrived in Sturminster Newton. So we're on the last leg now. There's an interesting wall up here. That's this one. That's interesting, that is. There used to be a skull embedded in the wall and poking out the front. That seems to have disappeared. Not quite sure what happened to it. think someone has a sense of humour. So I thought we'd have a little detour just to walk through the churchyard. I won't go in this church because the light is beginning to fade. So this is the Church of St Mary's. Which is kind of broadly 15th century, although it's been modified since. Hi. So, next time I do a walk out this way, we'll go in that church and have a look around. And that one's the Methodist church. It's quite a pleasing church, isn't it? Quite nicely proportioned. And there's some nice old cottages in Sturminster Newton as well. We're just coming up to the centre. And so we've rejoined the Stour again on the other side of Sturminster Newton now. This is where we were this morning on the way out. And that is a lovely evening sky. It's getting a bit of evening mist around now. We've lost the sun over here, just gone down behind the trees. But Sturminster Newton Mill is in sight over here. In fact, what you can see mostly is the white fence, the causeway that goes across the weir to the mill. So we'll be nearly there. So I think it's gone past 11 miles now, so it's going to be around about 12 in fact by the time I get back to the car. So in true Dorset Rambler fashion, I get back to the end of the walk, or back to the beginning of the walk, just in time to sign the video off before the last of the light fades. That kind of sums up my videos most of the time, I think. So Sturminster Newton Mill is just behind me. The weir is probably drowning me out, but never mind. So yes, got to sign the video off. Short walk across the causeway, past the sluice gates, over the raging torrent, to get back to the mill and the car. So what an awesome day it's been. Another cracking walk. Yeah, alright, the middle bit, I suppose I have to say, with the broken down bridge, lumpy footpaths, overgrown woodlands, and a bit of flooding. I mean, that was only a mile or two, to be fair. Hard work, but you know, all, like I said, adds to the adventure. Generally, it's been a fantastic day. We've seen lots of interesting things. Shame we'd ran out a little bit of time at the end, so we couldn't get into Fiddleford Manor. But never mind, we'll do that another time. And at the same time, we'll do Sturminster Newton Church inside as well. So yeah, that'll be another walk for another day. Today, I've thoroughly enjoyed my walk. So thanks so much for coming with me. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it interesting. I've loved it. But for now, this is me, the Dorset Rambler, saying until next time.